Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining me on my very first attempt of a YouTube video. I am filming this video for a few different reasons. One, to try to streamline updates to friends and family, and also to attempt to be a resource to other women on YouTube or the social webs that find themselves in my situation. I have recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, and it has been a crazy few months that is just changing every single day, and I have found great comfort in videos that I have found on YouTube with other women that are going through or have gone through what I'm going through right now. So I'm going to attempt to replicate that. My YouTube acumen is not that strong, but I feel like I might be able to kill two birds with one stone. And I don't even know if I should even use that phrase, but here we are. That's what I said, and we're just gonna roll with it. It is a lot easier for me to just talk this out to myself, almost, so keep a journal for me and how I feel and all of the things that keep happening. It's almost like you forget details, and I think that it's really important that it's documented for myself and for my children, and as a way for family and friends to be able to watch, because I will be honest with you, I have an amazing support system. I am very lucky. Since all of this information has come out, I have received so many sweet messages and letters of encouragement, notes of encouragement, opinions, and I am very much touched by that. But it is also very hard to repeat every appointment over and over again. It's hard to say the word cancer. It's hard. That's a hard word to say. So, saying it over and over again is hard for me. But this might be a better forum to just kind of get it out there and get where we are and where we started, and give information. So I'm going to try to do better about that. The purpose of this video is to give an overview of where I started and where we are today. And what I probably will do is break down into other videos more specific information about each test that I've had. I mean, I've had 3 different types of biopsies. I've had a bone scan and CT scan and so many different scans, and the way that I actually got diagnosed and those symptoms that went along with that. If I were to talk about every single aspect of where we are or how we've gotten to where we are, I think this video would be like 3 hours at least. So I'm going to try to break it down so that, especially for folks that I don't know, that may be going through what I'm going through, they can kind of take it in small pieces and not get overwhelmed. I know I've watched some videos on YouTube from other women that are going through or have gone through what I'm going through, and their videos have been very encouraging to me. There aren't very many that I can find, and there aren't very many that have exactly what I have. One of the things that I have learned quickly is that there are a lot of different flavors of breast cancer, and And so every treatment is different, every path is different. So I'm going to try to give updates on where I am, and I hope that it's helpful. I hope you subscribe to this. I hope that you put comments in, especially if you've been through what this is all about and you have suggestions. I mean, I'm still learning. But here we are. So for those who don't know, my name is Rebecca and I am 41. I have 3 beautiful children, a beautiful husband. My children are 10, 7. They are little girls. And then my caboose is Henry, my little boy. He just turned 1 on Sunday. And this whole path, everybody likes to call this a journey, and I will be upfront. That word to me is like nails on a chalkboard. So I may slip up and say it because I keep hearing it, but I hate that word. I think I'm a process person, so I'm gonna try to talk about the process, the journey. It seems insincere to me, and maybe not to other people. I don't know. And that isn't a knock on anyone else that calls it a journey, because probably every single person says that, and that is 100% okay. And that was a little bit of my ADD moment, just kind of went off on a tangent. But anyways, so my story starts, well, it really starts about the time that I turned 40 and I found out about my little boy, Henry. You know, everybody says that you should get your first mammogram when you turn 40. Well, when I went to go schedule my first mammogram, surprise, Henry was on the way. And so that kind of postponed the mammogram appointment, but he has been a beautiful blessing to our family, beautiful caboose to complete the Hines family, and we're very, we just love him so much. So when I talked to my OB about the mammogram, she recommended that we wait until he was about 6 months old to schedule one. Well, around the time that I started having that on my radar, a few things happened. One, I had kind of started noticing some changes on my right breast. Nothing serious, nothing that I thought really warranted a conversation. I just had a baby. I have really big, dense boobs, and I knew that I was going to schedule a mammogram, so it wasn't really a big deal. I also had a friend that had been recently diagnosed, was also in her early 40s, had kids, and it was a big surprise. So that kind of jump-started me on making sure I had a mammogram scheduled. Well, I scheduled a mammogram for November of 23. Of course, the flu hit, and my oldest daughter got down with the flu, so I needed to reschedule my mammogram. And that was in November, and November and December are terrible months for appointments. You know, I mean, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we have plans and all of the things. And I just kind of ignored some of the things that I had noticed because I wrote them off like they weren't a big deal. Well, at the end of December, I was laying on the bed with my son, who at the time was 9.5 months, almost 10 months, 9 months, 10 months. And he kind of fell backwards on me funny. And it hit like a spot, like a hard spot, that didn't really have pain, but it was uncomfortable, and I kind of just reacted. And my husband happened to be sitting right there and made a comment, like, what was that? So I nonchalantly kind of told him, hey, I don't know, I got something weird going on. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna reschedule my mammogram. I'm not really worried about it. And as we kind of talked about it, he was like, no, you need to go see our GP like now. Like, you need to make an appointment tomorrow. And I just kind of brushed him off, and he doubled down and said, listen, if you don't, I'm going to call her. I mean, we need to get it checked out. Well, I went online to see if I could just schedule a mammogram. And the way that works is if you indicate that there are any changes in your breast, they want you to see a doctor first. If you lie and say that there are not changes, then you couldn't get an appointment until the end of April. So, at this time we're at the end of December, and that's, several months away. So I called my GP, who is a friend of ours, and got an appointment that week, which would have been like the first week of January. And I went in, kind of just blew it off. I was like, look, I'm here because Derek is making me be here. I really don't think that it's anything. I have really dense breasts. My boobs are big. I don't think that, I know I had a kid in the last year. And she was like, yeah, it's probably nothing, but we'll go ahead and we'll just, because you felt something, we'll get a diagnostic mammogram and ultrasound scheduled. I can schedule it faster than if it's just a regular mammogram, and I'll do a breast exam. She kind of felt a little bit, but didn't seem concerned. But it didn't really matter because we got the appointment the next week for the mammogram and ultrasound. Which the diagnostic 3D mammogram and ultrasound. So I'll go into all of those into more detail at another time, but basically what ended up happening at those appointments started the tingling feeling in the back of your head where something's not right. I went in for the mammogram. By the way, a mammogram is not as bad as they make it seem to be, so please go get a mammogram. I went in and she did some images. I was really anxious because about the time that I got there, it's like I had this intuition like something wasn't right. She does the mammogram. She puts me in a room. She's like, okay, I'm going to have the radiologist look at this, and then we'll go to ultrasound. Well, she comes back and she says, well, the radiologist wants some more images. So they go in and take some more images. I'm kind of concerned about that. And then after those images were taken, they take me to ultrasound. And I'm going to go into this a little bit in more detail later in another video. But they did the ultrasound. I almost felt like the ultrasound tech didn't really see anything concerning, but also like the way that I was positioned, and my girl's I just didn't really feel like comfortable with the ultrasound. That's just me. I am not the professional, but I had some concerns. Well, it didn't really matter because I get brought back to the room, and the radiologist herself comes in and sits down. And the second she sat down, I knew something was up. And she said, listen, so what we found is you do have a mass. It's about 3 centimeters. But you also have like a cluster of these calcifications that are around it, and maybe some like nodules on your nipples. So we're going to need to it might not be anything, but we need to, I can't rule that out. We need to do a biopsy, a stereotactic biopsy on those 3 areas to see like what we're dealing with. And I said, okay, so like when would we do that? And she goes, well, the very first biopsy I can get you in. She goes, we can't, do that today because that has our, we don't have appointments for today, but just hold tight. So this was on Friday. So she comes back and she goes, can you be here first thing Monday morning? And I said, of course I can. So I go back on Monday morning. I'm worried. I've started looking at like all of the words that she was saying. I'm a researcher by trade. I have a terminal degree. I am in economic development. I am a, community leader, an elected official. I'm used to doing research. I'm used to kind of sifting through the sensational and getting to the heart of the matter. And so I don't like going into appointments where I'm not prepared. And that'll be a reoccurring theme of every video that I film. That probably drives everyone crazy, but as you will see, this is about my life, so that's fine. So ended up happening was I go back on Monday for this biopsy. Very nervous. I don't like needles. I'm kind of scared. I have read enough to know that, I need to be a little concerned. It could, at the very least, it's something. At the very most, it's something more serious. And what was decided at that appointment, at that biopsy, was that they were only going to biopsy the calcifications. And I asked, well, but that wasn't what we discussed on Friday. You said that there was the mass and like the nodules behind the nipple. And she goes, well, those aren't as concerning. We're going to just do the calcifications, make sure we got what we need. It'll be fine. Okay. I've never done any of this before. I'm in a room, vulnerable, basically with my boobs out, and I'm nervous, and I don't really know what to expect. So that's what we did. And she gets the samples that she needs, and they tell me that they will call me probably in the next 24 hours and give me the results, which is quicker than what I've heard some other women say. So I will say that I feel like I've gotten results back relatively quickly this entire process. So I do appreciate that. Well, on Tuesday, I get a call from a nurse navigator, and the comment was, well, we got the pathology reports back. You have ductal carcinoma in situ. That's breast cancer. It's typically considered stage 0. And that was like kind of the end of the statement. I was like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, what do I do? Like, and she was like, well, you're going to need to meet with a surgical oncologist because you're going to need surgery. And I said, okay. I mean, like, is there like a doctor that's going to call me before then? I mean, is that the process? I'm going straight in, to surgery. And she goes, yeah, well, do you have, if you have a surgeon that you prefer, we can schedule that, or I can schedule you. And this is literally happening in a 30-second period where everything has just, my world has just been rocked on some level. So I said, well, I don't know right now. I'm gonna need a minute to call you back. So I hang up the phone. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I had a work meeting that I had scheduled for like 15 minutes later that I canceled. I sent a group text to my parents and my husband because I could not say all of those things multiple times. I could not have those conversations. I texted them. I called my GP, and she was probably thinking I was crazy, but she's a friend, so that's okay. And she was able to kind of give me some more information and give me at least a professional recommendation for a surgeon that she had other patients that had seen. I called my friend that had recently been diagnosed and just told her, like, she, thank God for her, because she was literally going through everything that I was going through, and was able to give me some like really quick information about like what happened when she got that call and who she saw. And so I was able to translate that back to the nurse navigator who had scheduled me with somebody that I didn't know. So she had to change all of that. And I ended up getting an appointment with a surgical oncologist the next Tuesday. So a week later. So I had a week before I met with anyone. So I had plenty of time to get my pathology report that they weren't necessarily going to release, and get all the information that I could gather about like what tests I should be getting, what could potentially be recommended, a lumpectomy, a mastectomy, what I would prefer, and questions about whether or not, like, was I correctly diagnosed, because I had some questions about the process of my initial biopsy. And when we met with her the first time, she came in with, it was the end of the day appointment, and she kind of came in like a tornado and gave a lot of information, but it was just information like, here it is, accept it for what it is. When I tried to slow it down and express some concerns or questions, I kind of felt like I was being blown off a little bit. And also, you know, you go into those appointments and you're nervous and scared and you don't really know what to expect. So with a strong personality woman, faced with another strong personality woman, sometimes it's not always the best fit. Sometimes it is. You just have to be on the same page. And that first appointment, we were not on the same page, because I felt like she accepted that initial biopsy without any question, other than the fact that she did order she ordered an MRI and genetic counseling and set me up with her plastic surgeon that she works with in her group. And so I met with the plastic surgeon later that week, and then my MRI wasn't scheduled for like another 2 weeks, and genetic counseling was like a whole nother story. But what I will say is, I left that appointment feeling not so great, and like actively researching whether or not I needed to get a second opinion. And it was scary. Another thing that happened in that appointment, which was very interesting to me, was that I went in to that appointment being fully prepared to argue for a bilateral mastectomy and not a lumpectomy. Because I'm young, I have 3 kids, I will remove any part of my body that will keep me here, and I have big boobs, so like I would rather not. I had talked about getting a reduction years before I found out I was pregnant with Henry, so I'm not like overly attached to that. However, when she came in and was giving us the rundown of the treatment, which, by the way, the very first treatment that she suggested or indicated would happen would be that all I would need is surgery, maybe radiation and reconstruction, and that was it. I didn't need anything else. My receptors, my hormone receptors were negative, and my I was estrogen and progesterone negative, so immunotherapy or the hormone therapy wouldn't be viable for me. So I really just needed surgery, and basically like that was it. I was prepared for her to suggest a lumpectomy. However, she didn't. She said, your entire breast is basically covered in something. So you're not a candidate for a lumpectomy, which was also kind of like a red flag for me. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. We'll just take them both. And so we had that conversation, and then I met with a plastic surgeon a couple of days later. We'll talk about that in another video. I will say this, the plastic surgeon that I met with was the first person that felt my breast and was like, there it is. Like, I feel it. And it, on some level, that made me feel like not crazy, because I felt like there were a lot of people minimizing what was going on. And the more information that I researched and I knew, and that intuition that you have about your own body, I felt like something wasn't right. And I will say, I went into the appointment with her and I had a lot of questions and doubts about, just being assigned a plastic surgeon, but I will be infinitely greater, or I don't even know the phrase. Like, it just meant so much to me to be validated. That was the first part of this entire process with all of these appointments, where I felt somebody validated me without asking. I was like, yeah, like everybody should be able to feel this. Like, it's like huge. And so that was, I appreciate that. So we had that appointment. Her surgical approach, I'm not sure if, we'll go that route or not, but, I did appreciate her. So the next step in all of this was the MRI. Well, by this point, we are into February, and I'm feeling run down. I really am feeling run down. The emotional toll of that month of January, I just felt run down. But I was not going to do anything about it, because I needed to get to that MRI, because I just knew I could not reschedule it. And I go in for an MRI, and a breast MRI, and it was a little scary. It's not fun. I go in for the MRI, and then the next morning, the next day, I get the results of the MRI. Also, the next day, I had been feeling run down, and my husband was like, you need to go to urgent care. We need to make sure you're okay. Everybody was kind of thinking like I had pneumonia or something. Well, turns out I had the flu. But I had the flu and was on the tail end of it. So I probably had like the flu the week before, but I just was feeling the after effects of it, because seriously, the day that I went to the doctor, I didn't have a fever. I was starting to feel better. We were just being preemptive because we thought it could have been pneumonia or something, and I just wasn't 100%. Well, the same day, I get my MRI results. And on the MRI results, it had very interesting information. And I can see the MRI results on my chart at the same time that they're available for my doctors, which is different than the pathology reports. They don't release the pathology reports right away, but for the MRI or imaging, things like that, I can see right away. Well, I went in and had the MRI results on my chart, and they stated that there was suspicious lymph nodes in my right axillary. And I had identified the mass in my right side, and the DCIS had been confirmed, and that there was some similar stuff going on my left breast. And the recommendation from the MRI was that I have my left breast biopsied. And didn't really say anything about the suspicious right axillary nodes. Well, that didn't sit right with me. And I'm obviously sending some of these off to like friends that I know in the medical industry. And like, hey, should I be questioning this? Like, what should I be doing? And they're like, yes. So it's Friday. I'm not hearing back from my doctor's office. And I call and I'm like, I just got my MRI results back and I have some concerns. And she's like, oh yeah, you know, the doctor looked at him, there's not anything big, you know, we're not gonna biopsy the other breast. It's, you know, it's probably nothing, you know, you're gonna have a bilateral anyways. And I was like, okay. So the suspicious lymph nodes, like I'm more concerned about that. And she goes, oh, does it say that? And, you know, kind of like, well, it's not like, you know, not that big of a deal. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so listen, has she said that? I mean, I'm concerned about this. She goes, okay, well, let me call you back. So I get off the phone, I'm calling my mom, going, you know, ballistic on my mom, like something is not right. I get a phone call back and she goes, yes, we're gonna just go ahead and biopsy those lymph nodes. So you're going to have an ultrasound biopsy on the lymph nodes. We'll get you an appointment scheduled. So this is on a Friday. I get it scheduled on Wednesday. Well, I go in on Wednesday for this biopsy. And that was a pretty tough day for me because, you know, I had started to kind of feel like I was having to advocate for myself a lot more than I anticipated. And it kind of makes you feel crazy when you do that with doctors because, you know, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, not an idiot, but, you know, I feel like I'm having to question every decision, and that was 100% evident on the day that I went in for my second biopsy, because they take me back and they were like, oh, you had the flu last week? And I was like, yeah, but I was like kind of coming down from it. I'm fine now, you know, whatever. And they were like, yeah, we might not even do a biopsy. And I was like, excuse me? She was like, yeah, you know, we didn't really see anything in your first ultrasound. And I was like, I don't even like really know that she even looked at my lymph nodes. I mean, during that ultrasound, like, I don't, okay, but this MRI showed suspicious nodes and my surgeon is telling me to get a biopsy. That isn't really your call. And she made the comment, well, we're not going to just do unnecessary tests. And I was like, let me explain something to you. If you don't do this biopsy, I will never go to a doctor again. Because I have not slept in 5 days. And you're going to do this biopsy. And I mean, I was a little bit kind of, you know, losing my mind. They wouldn't let my mom go back there with me, who typically can calm me better than other people. And I really had to argue about it, and it was very emotional. And she goes, okay, well, let's just do an ultrasound. We'll see. I'll do an ultrasound, take it back to the radiologist. So she does an ultrasound. She takes it back to the radiologist. She comes back in and she goes, yep, we're going to do the biopsy. I'm like, okay, good. So they did the biopsy, which was worse than the first one. Then they go and take me back, do some mammograms, make sure all the clips are clipped. And they were like, okay, you'll get results back in the next 2 to 4 days. And we leave. And I will say I left that ultrasound biopsy and got into the car and just bawled, because the entire process was very emotional. It was not what you would anticipate feeling like. And it was a really bad day. And I just had this feeling that things weren't what they were supposed to be. This is a Wednesday. So on Thursday, I get a call back. And from the nurse navigator, who says, okay, we got your pathology back. And they came back. Your lymph nodes are malignant for HER2 positive metastatic carcinoma. No. It didn't say HER2. She said they came back positive for metastatic carcinoma. And this is going to change everything. So that's all she could tell me. The pathology for that particular test, because it came back the way that it did, they didn't have the full pathology report yet, and that was going to take a little bit longer. So she said to me, well, this is going to change your treatment plan. You are going to likely have to have chemo first, and your surgeon's office will be in touch. So I hang up with her and call the surgeon's office. And because at that point, like, I'm not waiting, and ask questions. They say the same thing, that they don't have the pathology reports back, and that they are calling me in to meet with her first, on Tuesday afternoon. And so, and that they were going to go ahead and order a CAT scan and a bone scan. So all of those appointments were made right then. So my CAT scan was on a Monday, the following Monday. This is the week of the 14th, I guess, 13th, 12th, February, that week of February 12th or whatever. So a CAT scan was ordered on Monday. She needed the CAT scan before I met with her on Tuesday, and they had a bone scan scheduled on a Wednesday. So I go have my CAT scan. By this point, I had gotten access to my medical, my pathology report. I knew that I was HER2 positive. I knew that that was serious, and that all my other receptors were negative. And so luckily the CAT scan came back, and it didn't really show anything concerning from a metastatic perspective. And we met on Friday afternoon. No, I'm sorry, Tuesday afternoon with my surgical oncologist, who comes in and had slowed down. And we appreciated that, because she realized, like, this is now like a serious situation. They needed the bone scan results to really be able to stage me. She made the comment during that conversation that, like, I was probably in between a 2, maybe 3, but that if the bone scan came back with Mets and it was stage 4, that I needed to realize that it was curable, that they have HER2 positive drugs out that they didn't have 10 years ago, and that, my treatment plan, she kind of went over what my treatment plan was likely to be, and what the medical oncologist would say, with a really 6-week or 6-cycle intensive chemo, and then treatment would go on. I mean, I'd still have infusions for another 12 months, and then, when a mastectomy would happen, and radiation was definitely going to happen, and reconstruction couldn't happen for a long time. And so the plan got really involved. She actually teared up during that conversation, which was a little disconcerting to me. Maybe good for me in the sense that like when things like that happen, I'm able to pull myself together better. That is very weird, I know. But I don't handle criers very well, and I didn't really understand why she was crying when I was the person getting bad news, so that maybe was a good thing. And I'm not hating on the doctor or anything like that. She went ahead and said, okay, like this is going to have to happen fast. You're going to need to start chemo fast. This is an aggressively spreading cancer. What was likely happening is the DCIS calcifications were hiding the tumor behind it, and it is very large. And honestly, like all I could think of was, you know, this is what I was saying, like why didn't they biopsy the tumor when they could have the very first biopsy? But at this point, I can't go there. You know, we just got to move forward. So in all of this, I had been talking to friends about a medical oncologist, and we found one at a local oncology center that's reputable. And she made an appointment with him, or she got me in contact with him. We made an appointment with him for the next Tuesday. We made an appointment to have my port put in, which was last Thursday. I did my bone scan. Thank God my bone scan came back clear. Anything that it indicated was from past trauma, so it's not concerning for a metastatic METs or anything like that, so that's good. I met with my surgical oncologist for the first time on last Wednesday. He was very great and explained to me the chemo drugs that I'm going to be on, and that it was going to be very hard, and kind of went through the process. So I will have what is called TCHP for 6 rounds. Each round is one Tuesday every 3 weeks, every 21 days. So I'll be on Taxotere or doxycycline, carboplatin, Herceptin, and Perjeta for those cycles. And he said that's going to be hard. That's going to be a hard regimen. You're going to lose your hair. There are side effects from the Herceptin and Perjeta that could be tough. And you know, just be prepared for that. After those 6 rounds, they'll drop the doxycycline and carboplatin, and I will continue the Herceptin and Perjeta for another like 18 cycles, I guess. Same schedule. I will be able to be eligible for a bilateral mastectomy 4 weeks after they drop the 2 chemos, and I can continue the other infusions during that. So I'll never have a break in those other infusions. So we're looking at like beginning of August probably for a bilateral mastectomy. And then I will start radiation. I'm not sure how long that will be, but it'll be every day for probably 5 to 6 weeks. I'll be continuing the cycles of the Herceptin and Perjeta. And then 6 months after radiation, we can talk about reconstructive surgery. So my process went from a simple surgery to at least 18 months of my life are going to be fighting this thing. The problem is that it's in my lymph nodes, and that it's aggressively spreading cancer, which is why we're doing chemo first. And the pathology report, or the report from the oncologist, has staged me. For those that matters or have questions about, has staged me at a 3A. So like if you look at the tumor markers, if you go and you're looking at, you know, American Cancer Society or Susan Komen, they do this T and M rating. So I'm a a T3N1M0. And that basically means like your tumor size, your nodule involvement, and your, like the metastatic part, if it's in the other part of your body, I believe. I'm not a medical doctor, but I believe. And I am ER negative, PR negative, HER2 overexpression, grade 3. You know, that's what all of this says. And so basically that is, you know, I have two types of cancer. I have the DCIS, and I have what I believe they're calling like the invasive ductal carcinoma. They keep referring to it in all of my records as the metastatic carcinoma, consistent with breast primary, but I'm pretty sure that that's what that is. So we may update that later on. So that's the path that we're going to take right now. I am a little bit grateful for the fact that we have figured this all out, and that I have time to really think about the surgeries and the other doctors and the, if I get second opinions or not. I felt like before my time frame was so like bam, 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 and I was having all of these tests, and I just was so overwhelmed, that I am grateful for two things. One, I'm grateful for the fact that I did start chemo yesterday. And today I'm feeling pretty good. I'll do another video talking about that whole process. I'm tired, but when you are told that you have an aggressively spreading cancer, and it has spread as much as it has in the 2 months that we even like went to the doctor, like what if I hadn't gone to the doctor? That is scary. Trying to be brave for my children. My little girls are not okay right now. They're scared for their mom. They're scared about me losing my hair. I have all of these like contraptions. Like, so I have this like they call it like a neuroblasta. I'm saying it wrong, but it like, and we'll inject something 27 hours after my chemo to help with my white blood cell count. And it has, I mean, it looks, you know, blinks. And then I have my port, which is scary looking. And I've had all of these biopsies done. And for these two little girls, like, that's tough. And as a mom, that is tough. And trying to be strong in front of them, trying to be strong in front of my husband who lost his dad to cancer a few years ago, trying to hold my baby. You know, one of the big things that was so important to me from the very beginning was I didn't want to do anything until his first birthday. Just give me his first birthday. We're so close. And that's what we did. I still had to have my port put in a couple days before, but I didn't start chemo until afterwards. Luckily my job has been very supportive. My church family has been very supportive. My friends, people I don't know, friends of my parents, I really appreciate all of that. And I'm going to need that. It's hard for me to take support from people. I would rather advocate and support other people. But, you know, another reason why I'm doing this video that has now gone very long, a good friend of mine reminded me yesterday, Rebecca, you're in the position to advocate for what you see is problematic with this whole process, or where women have questions, or how can we make that better? And I hope that collectively with other women that I don't even know that hopefully see this, they will feel that too, and maybe this will help them. And if not, maybe it will just help me remember like how this all started, and my girls, and that it's not, every day is not great. I have been grieving the last 2 2 months about this and about how this has changed my plans. And if you know me, I like to have a plan. I like schedule. This is not that. And so I've struggled. But yesterday was the day where, you know what, we did hard things yesterday and it was okay. It was not as bad as I thought it would be. And we got this. I got this. There is no other option. The Lord is in me. I can feel him. I have friends that have constantly been sending me praise songs and Bible verses and inspirational quotes that feed my soul more than I probably have been able to even respond to them. And please keep doing that. I'm going to try to figure out how to bring that into this channel, because you can't, the Lord is right there every time. And every time that I have had any kind of nagging doubt, like I feel that push. I feel that push and I know where that's coming from. I feel that strength where I feel like when I can't get out of bed or I need to curb the tears in front of my children, I have that push. Somebody random will send me something that just reminds me, you got this. He's got this. When you don't have this, he's got this. And that is important to me. So this has been a very long video. I hope that this portion of the video, or the very first YouTube video, may not be the most professional, but at least you know where I am, and how the basic tenets of how we've gotten to where we are and what my treatment plan is. And thank you to everyone that I know to support me and to support my family, most importantly, my parents. And I know that I am blessed to have that support system. I mean, I really am. And so moving forward, if I haven't texted you back, or if I don't post on social media all the details or whatever, I'll try to make videos. If I don't call you back, come back here and see if I've posted a video. It's just easier for me to do that. So I hope that you find this helpful. Again, subscribe to this channel. It's brand new. I'm learning. It's not professional. But if you are finding this video and we don't know each other, please leave a comment, feedback on what you're going through. I would love to pray for you. I mean, prayer is just, it really does get me through. I don't always get the answers I want, obviously, but strength is important in prayer. And so I appreciate you all. And until next time, I appreciate you watching this video. All right. Have a wonderful, blessed day.